All right, Joe Foreman with you. From Raleigh, North Carolina, we have caught up our live stats. As I mentioned in the stream live chat, we did not receive a roster from Virginia Union, so we had to manually input that roster and catch up our entire live scoring application. The Dolphins were also positioned in the home dugout. However, they are the visiting team in this game, so we had to make that change at the last minute as well. We did not get lineups until just moments before first pitch, which would have been okay had we had a roster for Virginia Union in our Presto software. Without going too deep into the details for our audience tuning in for the call of this game, it delayed our broadcast by about 30 minutes, just shy of 30 minutes. I'll catch everybody up to the best of my ability once we have a break in the action, as Kennedy Ruth gets a swing and miss and a strikeout for out number 2 in the home second inning. Our score, Staten Island 2 and Virginia Union 1. Both of these teams looking for their first win of the season. The Panthers come in with a record of 0-10. The Dolphins 0-2. Their season got underway here yesterday. I did intend to be here on Friday when the Dolphins were scheduled to open their season, but those games were canceled due to inclement weather. And apparently I was the last to know as I arrived here and the gates to the complex were shut. It was deserted. And when I checked over at CSIDolphins.com, I then found that the games had been canceled. So a breakdown in communication there, but our communication for this broadcast underway. And I expect to be with you for the rest of the day from Raleigh, North Carolina at the Walnut Creek Softball Complex. Dolphins playing their final 2 games of their Raleigh trip, as that dribbler on the infield is going to roll foul. I'll do my best to get you the lineups. We do not have live stats for this game pushing to CSIDolphins.com, so all of the statistics I'll be pulling are from our Presto software, and as I also call the game, it's hard to go window to window between scoring, streaming, rosters. We'll do our best with it. But I'll break down how we got where we are once this inning comes to a close as the count runs to 2-1. We're back to the top of the lineup for the Panthers. Skylar Rosenbaum, their starting pitcher, is at the plate, a left-handed batter, and she dribbles another one foul. Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs and the bases empty here in the home second inning. Dolphins struck first in this game, scored a pair in the top half of the first inning. Then a couple of CSI errors and an infield base hit helped the Panthers cut that Dolphin lead in half as Rosenbaum fouls back another. But as I mentioned, once this inning comes to a close, we'll break down how we got here. We'll have to go to the play-by-play for that one, but that's what it's here for. Count remains even at 2 on Rosenbaum as Ruth looks for a 1-2-3 second inning. And that's dribbled to third. Throw to first in time as Rosenbaum slid in just behind that throw. And the Panthers go down 1-2-3 in the home second inning. Dolphins come to bat in just a few moments, leading 2-1. But as promised, I'll try and locate the play-by-play here, and we'll break down how we got to where we are. Presto software is still relatively new to me, but let's see if we can find the play-by-play in here. I think we've got it. All right. So the game opened with a base hit for the Dolphins, and I do apologize. I have to pull up their roster. A lot of new faces on this Dolphins roster as well. This, of course, our first broadcast of the season. But the Dolphins opened the game with a single. That base hit. And I'm trying to find a matching name on the roster. I have to make sure we don't have this backwards. Now, I think the best way to do this will be to go to the roster and sort it alphabetically. Makes it much easier. The font size on here, not the best. All right, this will make it much easier. So the game opened with a base hit off the bat of Presley Bourne. Next to the plate was Gianna Lopez. She walked, and that put the first 2 Dolphins on in the top half of the first. a dropped foul ball prolonged an at-bat for Bridget Motley, who then lined out to center field. Olivia Warner then doubled to right center field, and in a very unorthodox play, the center fielder for the Panthers took out the wall in right center. It is a netted fence as the first pitch of the third inning is grounded right back up the middle for a base hit into center field, and the Dolphins go right back to work. That is Lopez with the base hit up the middle. But continuing the first inning, Warner doubled to right center. The wall was taken down by the center fielder. The ball skipped over. They ruled it a ground rule double and held the runner at third. I also misspoke. Presley Bourne lined out to left field to open the game, so there was just one runner on in that first inning. Lopez reached on the walk, should have scored on the Warner base hit, but did not, as they ruled it a ground rule double. So the Dolphins were left with runners on second and third. And from there, CSI took the lead on a base hit by Madeline Paul. Paul put the Dolphins ahead 1-0, advanced to second on the throw as well. And then from there, Abby Morris singled on the infield. That drove in another run. And the Dolphins would settle for just 2 in the first, as it's a stolen base here for Gianna Lopez. And the Dolphins very quickly have a runner in scoring position to begin the third inning. We'll break down the bottom half of the first once the Dolphins' half of the third comes to a close here, but we're just about all caught up. It's double duty for me today as Bridget Motley goes ahead in the count 2-1 here. She fouled back the first pitch and took out of the zone, allowing Lopez to steal second. After taking a second pitch here, she's ahead 2 balls and 1 strike. And the 2-1 is dribbled foul out of play down the third base line, count even at 2. Fortunately for me, I will not be on stats duty for our next game. That makes the job a lot easier. We can focus on the action and call the game, hopefully from first pitch all the way through. I also don't have to move from field number 4, which is always a nice luxury. And Motley fouls away another, and that will land out of play off the facing of the Dolphins dugout. Count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes on Motley. As I mentioned, she lined out to center her first time, but it was a well-struck ball. A line drive in every sense, but just hit it right at the center fielder. Rosenbaum set to deliver another 2-2 pitch, and that's lined the other way, falling fast, and it gets through the right fielder and will roll all the way to the wall. It goes under the fence, and the Dolphins are on the unfortunate side of what probably goes down as another ground rule double. That ball was hit hard. It handcuffed the right fielder who tried to make a sliding catch. And Motley is going to be held at second. Lopez will come in to score. And it's an RBI extra base hit for Motley. So Lopez replaced in scoring position by Motley over at second base. And the Dolphins now lead by 2 again. It's 3-1. Olivia Warner at the plate takes low for ball 1. The 1-0 pitch. Taken up and in. And called strike. I am a bit more elevated than normal behind home plate. Normally our eye level is just about at the strike zone when we cover games at the College of Staten Island, as that's hit pretty well out to right. It's a long run in right center, and that will land at the base of the fence. It stays in play. Motley had to wait for it to come down, but that will not prevent her from scoring. And Olivia Warner has another well-struck double, as once again, it was a long run out in right field to get there. maybe the play could have been made, but you can't assume that. And Warner has her second extra base hit of the game. We're going to have a pinch runner for Warner. And emerging the Dolphins dugout is Jalen Martinez. So Martinez is going to be the pinch runner. The Dolphins did have a pinch runner in the first inning as well, but trying to catch up the scoring and putting everything into my notes app, I did miss that pinch runner. It's probably a foolish question, but it did come to mind. Did they allow a courtesy runner for the catcher with 2 outs? As that's hit sharply on one hop by Paul, and I think they ruled that ball bounced. Well, Myrick at short didn't think so. And that's going to be an error on the Panthers shortstop. I think she believed she caught it as she gave it a look towards second and never looked to throw to first. She had plenty of time to look towards second and throw. And now the Dolphins have 2 on. Still nobody out in the inning, and Abby Morris fouls back the first pitch she sees. So if there was ever a game where having to manually input a team's entire roster was a big inconvenience, this is the game, because we've had some very unusual scoring, already a couple of crooked innings. Dolphins now out to a 3-run lead as that's bunted toward first, and the throw is a bit wide. The underhanded flip got into right field, and now Morris is in a rundown, and she's out, but that allows another run to come in, and I think they said the tag missed Morris at first base, and she got back. Well, I'll tell you, they are doing me no favors on double duty right now, as we have another really fluky play. It's going to be an error on the first baseman, Hayes, for the errant flip. They certainly had Morris out by a wide margin. And still trying to figure out if they called Morris out. The umpires are discussing something right now, so I'm hesitating to put this play in. If Morris was out, I think the official scoring was 3-9-4-1 at first base. But Morris is indeed safe. And boy, this is quite the mess of a box score. The Dolphins end up scoring 2 runs as a result of that error. No runs would have come home had the flip been a good one. And trying to score this as you call the game is no easy task, but I think we've got it. For now, the Martinez run and the Paul run, both unearned. That could change. As that one's dribbled foul. Officially, that is going to go down as a sacrifice bunt for Morris. Just had to make sure we edited that. And I think we are set to return to live action as the first 2 pitches of the at-bat were both fouled back. At the plate for the Dolphins here is Kaylee Carey. Carey in a 2-strike hole now. Pitch on the way. And that's it out to shallow left center. And there to make the catch is Wooten. And her throw was a bit up the line at second base, but it was tracked down nicely to keep that ball on the infield. Morris stays put. over at first, and the Panthers finally have the first out here in the road fourth. Make that the road third. I must say, I never realized how heavily I lean on the sidearm live stats for the defensive alignment, the batter statistics, and the inning. At the plate, Soleil Smith now ahead. 1 ball and no strikes. Pitch on the way. And that's hit in the air, shallow right, and caught just a couple of steps inside the line. The throw went to first. It almost hit Morris. And there are now 2 gone in the inning. At the plate now, I will have to consult the roster as we have a stolen base attempt as well. And Morris is in there safely now. I know there's not an issue with our roster. Okay, I see. So Julia Del Masto's last name on Presto was shortened as a result of the space. So in searching for her via alphabetical order, couldn't find her. But she is very much on the roster, and she pops one up on the infield. It lands in no woman's land, and now Morris is hung up between third and home. And the throw to the plate. Now the throw to third, and Morris is out. Boy, they are making my life very difficult. That's going to go down as an infield hit for Del Masto. And then Morris, who stole second, is out. I believe it was 3-5-2-5 at third base. Perhaps 3-5-2-6. Good luck with that one. 6-1. Bottom third. Bottom third. Yes. Hold on. Sorry, I had the headset on. Yeah. Well, I had no roster from them, so I had to manually input everything. Well, this broadcast continues to get more and more interesting. The home plate umpire was consulting with me briefly, and the mute button is probably 3 or 4 tabs and windows away, so I just said forget the mute button, and we'll have this conversation on air. Though I have to admit, it can be a bit concerning when they ask me the score. I just have to be honest about that. All right, so for Del Masto, that's going to go down as an infield single. She advanced to second on the throw, but Morris was out on that play. I think I had it as 3-5-2 and back to 5. As a bunt attempt to open up the home third is played really well by the Dolphins. Strong throw to first, easily gets the out there. And there's 1 gone. Hopefully this scores correctly. All right, I think we're good. That bunt attempt by Wooten is the first out of the inning. Now the Dolphins did have a pinch runner in the last inning. However, Olivia Warner, as a designated player, does not have to be re-entered, so I'm good there. Wooten out, 5-3 on the bunt attempt. And once again, we're all caught up. Alicia Gonzalez-Pettis at the plate here. And that one's fouled back. Ruth comes set, pitch on the way. And there's a great off-speed pitch, swung on and missed. Count now 1-2. And this is up and away, 2-2. With each pitch, Ruth in the circle has had to shield her eyes from the sun to get the signs. And that one misses to the backstop. But this is, I would say, easily the best weather of my entire 2-week trip. And I spent 5 days in Florida. Count now full here. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Gonzalez Pettis. And that's taken low for ball 4. So Ruth issues the walk, and the Panthers have a 1-out base runner. But for those listening for the first time here on Sportsnet, as we always have the families of our newest recruits joining us for their first broadcast around this time of year, my name is Joe Foreman, and proud to welcome you into CSI Sportsnet coverage of today's game. And all season long, you can take in our home games on Flow College. I'm sure if you haven't heard about it already, you will at some point before our first home game. Right now, that is scheduled for Friday against Felician University, a doubleheader. If you can't make it, all of our home games will stream live on Flow College. Meanwhile, Shira Jones gets ahead 2-0 here, and Ruth now finds herself behind 2 balls and no strikes after walking the previous batter. But Flow College does require a subscription. That being said, once we get back home with our 4K cameras, our 60 FPS refresh rate, and our 2-man crew, I may be a bit biased, but I think it is worth it. That decision to go behind the paywall was not our decision. Certainly wasn't mine, but the conference making that decision last year puts us behind a paywall as the count goes to 2-1 on Jones. That being said, I'll be joined by Nicholas Bavona on the call for the majority of our home games. We don't expect to be separated for too many, though baseball and softball often playing at the same time causes that to occur as Jones draws the walk, and that's back-to-back walks issued by Kennedy Ruth here. The Panthers now have 2 on with just 1 out. Madison Hayes will be the batter, and I think we may be getting a pinch runner here. And indeed we are going to over at second base. Pinch runner is going to be Chloe Dawson, as she will run for Alicia Gonzalez Pettis over at second base. At the plate for the Panthers, Madison Hayes, and after the Dolphins put up a 4 spot in the previous half inning, Hayes has an opportunity to put a dent in that lead. Still plenty of softball left to be played. We're nearly an hour in and not even close to the halfway point. First pitch from Ruth, an off-speed pitch taken for a strike, 0-1. And that pitch is taken for a strike, 0-2. So Ruth getting a chance to work ahead 0-2 against Hayes here after back-to-back walks. The 2-strike pitch on the way, and that's hit sharply on 1 hop to second. Dolphins get the out at second and cannot turn the double play. Still nicely done by the Dolphins infield to make it close over at first base. Hayes reaches on the fielder's choice. Jones out at second, 4-6. And Dawson will move up to third with 2 outs. That will bring up Janiah Brown. The runner on third, a big one for the Panthers here as they look to chip away. And they'll run on the pitch. Dolphins are willing to take the out at second, and they do get it. Well, it didn't come easily, but the Dolphins execute the rundown, and that is another awkward scoring for me in the live stats. So I'll attend to that, and we will step off headset for a break here. When we come back, it's the top half of the 4th inning. Dolphins lead at 6-2. Joe Foreman back with you from Raleigh, North Carolina. As the first pitch in the 4th inning is grounded to short, but with the infield in, I don't believe that the Panthers had anyone covering first in time to make a throw. So that's probably going to go down as a slap base hit to the left side for Presley Bourne. Dolphins will certainly take it. Looked like a bit of a miscommunication on the right side. Nobody covering first as Bourne was looking to run on the pitch. It's popped up on the infield, and Rosenbaum has it just outside the circle for the first out. Bridget Motley will be the batter now. Motley showing bunt, allowing the runner to take off from first, and the throw was there, but a good slide to avoid the tag by Bourne. And she's into second base. Now, the Dolphins last year did not steal many bases, and we've seen them look to run early in this game, and that's going to add a completely different dimension for this team that they were lacking last year. I think it's going to be a necessary addition as Motley goes behind 0-2, but it's going to be a necessary addition as this team last year had a lot of players that were big extra base hit bats, and a lot of those players are no longer with the team. When you lose all of that slugging, you can make up for it on the base paths in a big way. A lot of unknowns this year in terms of the new Dolphins as the count runs to 1-2 on Motley. But even with those unknowns, something that's been apparent throughout this game, at least the portion of it that I've been able to take in, is that the Dolphins will look to run a bit more this year, and I think that's going to be a big part of this team's identity. And with that ball in the dirt, they don't even give a look toward Bourne. She takes third as well. And the Dolphins now have a runner at third, already leading by 4 and a chance to get that run they surrendered in the previous half inning right back. And Motley fouls away another. So officially, Bourne is going to take third on a wild pitch. That one skipped on the way in. It was blocked nicely behind the plate. Mikulski was there, but not really much she could do, as it was read really well by Bourne. And having base runners that can read those pitches in the dirt and be decisive when the ball ricochets off the backstop, reading it correctly, that's a big boost for a team. And if you can manufacture runs on the base paths, it helps negate the loss of some of those big bats. That one popped up on the infield, and that will not get the run in as the catch is made over at second. So a big out there for Rosenbaum, and there are now 2 gone in the inning. So unsurprisingly, Olivia Warner will return to the game to hit for herself. Dolphins sent up a pinch runner when Warner reached second with her second double of the game. And Warner comes to the plate with an RBI opportunity here. 2 gone. Road 4th inning. Dolphins in front 6-2. The two teams have combined for 5 errors. The Dolphins with a couple, and the Panthers with 3. And depending on who your scorer is, there could be a couple more. I don't think you could make the case there would be any less. And Warner hits one sharply, left center, and over the glove of Brown, who made a diving attempt in the gap. Once again, the ball goes through the underside of the wall, and it is another ground rule double for Olivia Warner, who has had herself quite the afternoon. And it feels like the afternoon with how long this game has gone, but we're still short of 11 a.m. And the Dolphins go back in front by 5. They lead it 7-2 now. And the Dolphins are going to run for Warner at second base once again. Angelina Guerrero running for the Dolphins here, and we're used to seeing her run as part of the track and field squad, making her CSI softball debut. Madeline Paul at the plate, ahead 1-0. And she takes on the outside corner, 1-1. Pitch on the way. And that's dribbled on the infield. It's going to be a tough play at first. And Paul beats it out. Here comes Guerrero for the plate. And she will score. Well, that will probably go down as a 4th Panthers error, allowing the run to score. It's going to be an infield hit for Paul. She put it in the perfect spot. And the throw was muffed over at first. Really tough to tell if that was a play where the first baseman could have easily made it. But it looks like there's going to be some changes for the Panthers here. So while we attend to that, we'll step aside and take a quick break. Dolphins now lead it 8-2. Joe Foreman back with you here on CSI Sportsnet. Danae Gorey takes over at first base following the error which allowed a run to score. Now, it looked like Madison Hayes was a bit shaken up, and I think the ball may have gotten away because of something that occurred with her hand. It looked like she was shaking out her hand, heading back to the dugout, and there was no hesitation. They immediately made a change over at first base. Also, the Dolphins here sent a pinch hitter to the plate as well, so there was a change on the infield as well as a pinch hitter. We get that pinch hitter in. Thankfully, did not input any pitches. Emily Riley is the Dolphins' pinch hitter here. Paul remains the runner over at first. 2 outs here in the road 4th inning. The Dolphins in front 8-2. CSI now with 10 hits in this game. They've been helped along by 4 Panthers errors, but the Dolphins have still swung the bats well in this one. And combine that with a bit of luck on a couple of infield dribblers, and you have an 8-2 ball game. Pitch on the way to Riley. That's taken outside. Now, I almost missed the pinch hitter, so I do not have the count. There is a scoreboard out in left field, but it does not look like an electronic scoreboard of any kind. It is not on. It's almost as if they painted over the area where the LEDs belong, and Riley is going to draw a walk in her pinch hitting assignment. Paul up to second. Kaylee Carey at the plate for the Dolphins now. And she takes low, ball 1. Dolphins with 2 on and 2 outs here in the road 4th inning, already leading by 6. And we're approaching that territory where the Dolphins can think 8-run lead. That one's grounded to third. It's knocked down nicely. And going the short way to make the play over at third base was Gonzalez Pettis, and that will do it for the Dolphins in the top half of the 4th inning. CSI tacks on a couple more. They lead it by 6. Our score, Staten Island 8 and Virginia Union 2. Just a quick programming note as we are probably a minute or 2 away from the start of the home 4th inning. It looks like the Dolphins are about to make some changes in the outfield, so I may be off headset for a few moments as I try and pick up those changes. They're being passed along to the home plate umpire as we speak, so I'll have my eye in the outfield, and if you don't hear from me in the next couple of minutes, you do not need to check your audio configuration. I will be back once we have the changes for the Dolphins in the outfield. And it looks like I should have those in just a couple of moments. So I'm going to step off headset and make those changes. We'll be right back. All right, Joe Foreman back with you as the Dolphins did make some changes in the outfield. I believe I have those all down. Del Masto remains in center, but the Dolphins move Jennifer Cohen into left field and Emma O'Neill into right field. So CSI making a couple of changes in the corner outfield spots to begin the bottom half of the fourth inning. Meanwhile, the Panthers have their half of the fourth off to a good start as Janiyah Brown hit a rocket shot into straightaway left field. Ballpark barely big enough to contain it, and she stands on second with nobody out in the inning. That one's hit out towards shallow center field off the bat of Jenna Nikolsky. And the play is made in center field by Del Masto for the first out here in the home fourth inning. So with that, I believe our stats are all caught up once again. Back at the beginning of this trip now, close to about a week ago, I covered the baseball doubleheader in Myrtle Beach, season opener for CSI Baseball, as we're going to have a pinch hitter here. So I'll have to attend to that, but I covered a baseball doubleheader and did not have anywhere near the amount of unusual scoring plays as we have in this game. And no pinch hitter, that's my mistake. Now, I can't be blamed for the confusion this time, as the helmet of the batter reads the correct number. The jersey does not. So Denasia Sturdivant is the batter. She's wearing a number 28 jersey, but has the correct number on her helmet. So don't believe we had a pinch hitter. Question is, did we have a pinch runner? We did not, so we're all good. Ruth gets a swing and miss here. Have to admit, when you're scrambling to figure out who's in the game, very, very easy to lose the count. But Brown is the runner on second for Virginia Union. One away in the home fourth inning with the Dolphins in front 8-2. Pitch from Ruth on the way. That's taken high. Once again, the good news, when the Dolphins take on Clarion University coming up next, no stats responsibilities for me, so we can call the action without any fluky scoring decisions getting in the way. It's been quite the morning filled with those here in this game, as that's taken low and inside. I touched on it before. The weather today, I believe around 70 degrees. Easily the best weather that I've had during this 2-week trip. We started in Myrtle Beach, continued on to Florida, and made our way back up to Raleigh on Friday. We returned home to New Jersey for a couple of days, a men's basketball playoff game, and then it's off to Buffalo should the Dolphins advance there, as a fly ball to right field is followed with a strong throw to third, and Brown is out. So the Dolphins turn an unconventional double play, and that will bring the fourth inning to a close. It's 9-5 on the putout at third base. Brown is retired there, and the Dolphins come to bat in the fifth, leading 8-2. All right, so the home plate umpire just informed me that the Dolphins are going to re-enter both of their outfielders that came out during that previous half inning. So the Dolphins going defense in that fourth inning, I would suspect in a bid to maybe go up by 8 runs here in the fifth. And the decision paid off as O'Neill from right field made the strong throw to get the out at third. So new head coach Mark Biancaviso pushing the right buttons there in that last half inning. And the Dolphins now leading by 6, would need to score a couple and then put up a 0 if they score just 2 runs in the next half inning. But the first order of business for CSI is to try and get those 2 runs here in the 5th, and they will send 8, 9, and 1 to the plate with a chance to do just that. Meanwhile, I touched on scheduling for the upcoming week. On Sportsnet, we head back over to Flow College on Wednesday night. Men's basketball hosts the first ever home playoff game in the Division II history of CSI Athletics on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Dolphins will take on Roberts Wesleyan University. Tip-off in that game scheduled for 7 p.m. Soleil Smith will lead off for the Dolphins here on the softball diamond in the 5th inning as she takes a strike. That same night, Wednesday at 7 p.m., women's basketball will also be in action. They will be on the road in Buffalo as they take on D'Youville University in the quarterfinal round of the ECC Women's Basketball Championship. Swing and miss from Smith makes it 0-2, but both the men and the women in action at the same time on Wednesday night. We will have the men's game on Staten Island. Nicholas Bavona and I on the call, perhaps to be joined by some special guests. You won't want to miss that broadcast. We expect an extended playoff pregame as well, so be sure to tune in early. We're looking at a 6:30 start time for our pregame as Smith goes ahead 1 ball and 2 strikes. And that one sliced foul, out of play down the right field line. The count stays 1-2. Looking a bit ahead beyond our basketball coverage on Wednesday, CSI Softball is scheduled to host their home opener on Friday. Whether or not the weather up north allows that remains to be seen. I've been enjoying temperatures between, I'd say, 45 and 70 degrees for the last 2 weeks, and it's back to freezing when I get home in New Jersey. Count now 2-2 on Smith. But beyond our coverage on Wednesday and Friday, should the men and the women, or the men or the women qualify, if either team reaches the ECC Championship semifinal, I head to Buffalo on Friday night following our softball doubleheader. If that doubleheader is canceled, then we move our flight up a bit earlier. Count 3-2 on Smith. And she hits one sharply on the ground to short. Handled cleanly by Myrick, and her throw was off the glove of the new first baseman, Gorey. She checked in for Hayes, and the throw just hit off of her glove. So Smith is going to reach on another error at first base. And the Dolphins have a leadoff base runner here in the 5th inning. Stepping into the box is Julia Del Masto. And she rips one down the line foul. Count 0-1. Our plan for coverage in Buffalo, should the Dolphins get that far next weekend, is audio only at Damon. Those games will also be streamed on Flow College. But for those looking for a more CSI-centric broadcast, they will have our audio stream on YouTube as always. That one grounded toward the hole. Handled there, and no chance to get Del Masto at first, but they do get the out on Smith at second. Myrick to Sturdivant on the fielder's choice grounder. One gone in the inning now. And we definitely have a mistake here in the lineup situation. So the Dolphins made 2 changes in the outfield. However, those changes don't exactly match what I have here in the lineup. So perhaps I put the Dolphins in the wrong positions in the outfield, though I don't think so. O'Neill was certainly in right. And we're going to have to address this in between innings. So it's back to the Notes app for scoring. As the runner heads for second. And Del Masto will stop there. May have to step off headset for a bit following this half inning. The Dolphins had O'Neill and Cohen come in to play the outfield. And we had that reflected. We had O'Neill in right, Cohen in left. But in the lineup, the right fielder was in the leadoff spot, and the left fielder, yeah, there's definitely a miscue here somewhere. We'll find that during the break and get everything sorted out. Meanwhile, Gianna Lopez fouls that one back. So fortunately, it's off headset for a few minutes following this half inning. Not much we can do to remedy the situation before that. Pitch on the way, taken outside. Not mistaken, the count's even at 2, but trying to get all of this figured out. Definitely could have left us a bit off there. That one skips in for what I have as ball 3, but let's see if we get the count from behind the plate. And I should have never doubted myself. It is 3-2. That's hit to short, and it gets through into left field. And that's going to be another Panthers error there, 6th. And it will bring home a run. Dolphins now in front by 7. They lead at 9-2. And with a brief break in the action for a conference in the circle, I'm going to step off headset here and try and figure out our scoring for the last half inning with the substitutions. We'll be right back. All right, Joe Foreman back with you after a lengthy battle with our scoring software. The Dolphins, when they made changes in the outfield, I had the 2 outfielders in the incorrect spot in the lineup. Figured out where we went wrong. The only way to correct it was to delete every play from the end, work our way back to the substitutions, and then do it again. But we got it, and we're back, hopefully with the correct score. I think that's the most important thing right now. And Kennedy Ruth finds herself in some trouble as she works here in the 6th inning. Dolphins are in front 9-3, and I'm about 99% sure that's the right score, as that's popped up on the infield, and Ruth makes the catch in the circle. Infield fly was the call. The batter is out. That is the first out of the inning as well. I think we are all set in terms of defensive alignment and all of the changes. You know, we've scored a lot of softball since 2016, and I'm not sure that I've scored a game quite like this one, beginning with no roster. That's always difficult, but you get that input manually, and you're about 2.5 innings behind from that point. And then between the ground rule doubles with the fence giving way and a bunch of rundowns making things a bit more difficult, we've been behind a couple of times, and Dolphins making substitutions that, for whatever reason, the program didn't take. Had to do it again. Did the same exact thing we did a few innings back, and it worked correctly this time. But the Panthers, trailing by 6, have 2 runners on and 1 out here in the home 6th inning. And if you're Virginia Union in this spot, you'd like to get at least 2 and give yourselves a good chance entering the final inning. And Ruth, once again, is behind in the count. It's 3-1. She's already walked 2 batters in the inning. Make it 2-2. Just so easy to lose the count when it's not on the scoreboard and you're trying to catch up the stats. But we should be good from this point forward. And the count is now full 3-2. So Ruth in danger of issuing a third walk here in the 6th inning. And looking at the box scores from yesterday, I think the crew was a bit surprised that Kennedy didn't pitch in a starting role yesterday. Did come on in relief as she issues her third walk of the inning here. It's the number 9 hitter coming to the plate. Jalen Myrick will be the batter for Virginia Union. But they have a big opportunity here with an extra base hit. All of a sudden, we have a game again. A bases clearing hit could make it 9-6, anything more than that. And the Dolphins find themselves in a position that perhaps they did not expect to be in with their ace in the circle. First pitch from Ruth on the way, taken high, ball 1. With all the catching up we've had to do on stats, we do not have an official pitch count for Kennedy Ruth in this game. I'd say whatever our total reflects, which right now is 70 with this next pitch, I would say you can probably add at least 15 or 20 to that. But that puts her in a fine area in terms of pitch count. And with the 3 walks and now a miss here on the pitch to Myrick, Dolphins will have a word in the circle. Mark Biancaviso out there with his team. The entire infield gathered around Kennedy Ruth as the Dolphins break huddle with a 1-0 count. And the bases loaded with Panthers as we play on here in the 6th inning. Each team tacked on a run in the 5th. And I believe I went off headset with the Dolphins batting in the top half of the 5th inning. Had to attend to the lineup once the wrong batter was at the plate. You cannot continue to score from there. Once you run into that, you have to stop. As the pitch out of the huddle from Ruth is in for a called strike. It's 1-1. The 1-1 on the way. And that's taken low, 2 balls and 1 strike. The number 9 hitter here at the plate, if you're Ruth, you have to attack. Can't afford to issue the walk in this spot. Even a base hit here is not a backbreaker, but a walk is just not what you're looking for. And now the count is 3-1. And we have seen it in the past. Teams typically don't hit Ruth very hard at all. She posts a great batting average against. Of course, was voted preseason co-pitcher of the year as she issues her 4th walk of the inning. And that will force in a run. But when teams have had success against her, it typically has required her to be a bit off with her command. And that's exactly what's happening here in this 6th inning. It's now 9-4. Skylar Rosenbaum at the plate, takes down and in ball 1. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Low and inside, ball 2. And you have to wonder, as much confidence as the Dolphins have in their number 1 starter, does she get another batter if she walks Rosenbaum here? 2, 3, and 4 behind the Panthers pitcher, and now it's a 3-ball count. You have to expect that Rosenbaum takes 1 here. And the 3-0 is taken up and away, ball 4.
Let's go 2-1.
It is now 9-5. And the Dolphins are going to leave Ruth in the game. So CSI, with plenty of faith in their starter, allow her another batter. And again, she misses up and away. Tahira Wooten. And Wooten represents the tying run as she is hit by the pitch. That will force in another run. It is now 9-6. And the tying run is now on base for the Panthers. And I think that might be all for Ruth here, as the Dolphins are going to make a pitching change. So with that, we will step off headset for a quick break. Pitching change coming for the Dolphins. They lead it by 3. The bases loaded with Panthers, and just 1 out here in the home 6th inning. And we are back from Raleigh, North Carolina, where this game has gotten a lot more interesting following a series of walks. Kennedy Ruth now out of the game. She was the Dolphins starter. Marina Guerrero will check in. And she inherits the bases loaded with 1 out. And quickly, she has a 1-1 count. At the plate is Elisa Gonzalez-Pettis. Make that Alicia Gonzalez-Pettis. And that one is sliced foul, 1-2. So Guerrero very quickly ahead of the first batter she faces, and an opportunity here for a big second out. You'd expect that perhaps Guerrero could have been slated to start game 2, but really no way of knowing. She got extensive work yesterday in a complete game 5-inning effort. And that one's chopped on the infield. That will get a run home, but Smith takes it over to first base and steps on the bag. Had to quickly turn and check the runner at third, but it's an RBI ground out for Gonzalez-Pettis. And that will make it 9-7. The tying runs move into scoring position with 2 outs here in the home 6th. Cleanup hitter Shira Jones at the plate in a big spot with a chance to tie the game as she looks at a strike, 0-1. The 0-1. Fouled back, 0-2. Guerrero very quickly ahead. And is 1 pitch away from a huge third out. Dolphins leading it by a pair, 9-7. 4 runs home for the Panthers here in the 6th inning. The 0-2. Blooped. Shallow left center base hit. And that will tie the game. The tying runs come in to score. And it's a game-tying RBI base hit for Shira Jones. We are now all even at 9, playing in the home 6th inning. Guerrero ran it in on the hands of Jones, and she just cleared Carey at shortstop. It fell into shallow left center, and that gets the Panthers even. I believe we're going to have a pinch runner here. And indeed we will. Pinch runner for the Panthers is going to be Ania Jones. And at the plate for Virginia Union is Danae Gorey. First pitch misses out of the zone, ball 1. And that misses up and away. 2 balls, no strikes. The 2-0. This is low, ball 3. The 3-0. Up and in, ball 4. And walks continue to plague Dolphins pitching here in the 6th inning. At the plate now, Janiyah Brown. Brown doubled down the line her last time up. And she takes a called strike, 0-1. Go-ahead run now in scoring position. Still 2 outs here in the home 6th inning. The Dolphins were on the doorstep of escaping a big-time jam, but just could not get the 3rd out, and that may give the Panthers the lead. It's a grounder through the right side. Throw coming home, and it's a good one. Nicely done in right field by O'Neill to keep the tying run from scoring. Wooten was forced to stop at 3rd base. Now, I do not believe Wooten is the runner, so I do have to check that very quickly. Yeah, that's definitely not right. So I'll have to attend to that in the box score in just a moment. It's a single through the right side for Brown. And the bases are loaded. 2 gone in the inning. And that pitch is in for a called strike. Jenna Nikolsky at the plate with a chance to give Virginia Union the lead. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Pitch on the way. Dribble to 3rd, easy play. And there to step on the bag is Lopez to retire the side. But not before the Panthers get even. They score 6 times in the 6th inning. All right, we are back from the Walnut Creek Softball Complex with yet another scoring issue. I don't know what is going on with the scoring software, but for whatever reason, it is not allowing us to put in the correct pinch runner during the last inning. Regardless of what the input is, it returns the incorrect pinch runner. Not exactly sure what is going on with that, but really not sure what to do about it at this point. Can't really do much, so we'll have to make a note that the runner needs to be changed and proceed from there. Meanwhile, the Dolphins come to bat in a tie ball game. At the plate is Kaylee Carey, hoping to get something started for the Dolphins here in the 7th. Keep in mind the Dolphins, though they are in the home dugout, are the visiting team in this game. And Carey pops one up shallow right, and that is caught for the first out of the inning. That will bring up Soleil Smith. So the issue we're running into with the pinch runner on the side of the Panthers, Anaya Jones was the pinch runner. Regardless of whether or not we insert her or anyone else, it is defaulting Tahira Wooten as the pinch runner, which is why I was a bit perplexed when I was making the call on one of the final plays of that last half inning. I couldn't tell you why it's not allowing us to put in the correct runner, but as of now, it will not allow us to do it. So we're sort of stuck. Smith at the plate for the Dolphins, ahead 1-0 here. Pitch on the way. And that's it on the ground, left side, deep in the hole. Long throw across the diamond is in time. And there are 2 gone in the inning. That's a good play over at shortstop and a strong throw by Myrick. That will bring up Julia Del Masto. Del Masto, the Dolphins' number 9 hitter. CSI gets an opportunity beyond this half inning. They would send the top of the order to the plate. Same goes if Del Masto can keep the inning going. Pitch on the way. Hit sharply toward the middle, base hit. And Del Masto is on with a 2-out single. And I mentioned before, the Dolphins have looked to run a bit more in this game than we've seen in the last couple of years. And it looks like CSI is going to send a pinch hitter to the plate. And instead make that a re-entry. So Presley Bourne, who got the start in this game, is going to re-enter and bat here. 2 outs, and the go-ahead run is over at first base. Also have to run some power between innings as well. You would have told me that our first game would run over 2 hours and that we'd need a laptop charge before it was done. I would have been beside myself having to score it, as that's taken high by Bourne for ball 1. Dolphins appeared poised to win this game, but walks really put them in a tough spot during the last inning, and they almost got out of it as the runner does take off, and Del Masto is in easily. Well, as expected, Del Masto attempts the stolen base. She is successful. And the Dolphins now have the go-ahead run in scoring position. They count even 1 ball and 1 strike. It's now 2-1. Rosenbaum ready. She delivers. And that's blooped. Shallow left center, base hit. Del Masto headed home, and the throw was cut off, and then airmailed into right center field, but backed up. And fortunately so. If that throw is not backed up, the Dolphins go ahead by 2. And making an impact with a big base hit there is Presley Bourne. As the Dolphins go back in front, it's 10-9. Bourne just clearing the infield, dumping one into shallow left center. And Del Masto came around to score. The throw inexplicably was cut off. I don't know if they had the out at home, but they definitely had a play. It would have been close, as that's grounded sharply past third and into left field for another Dolphins base hit. And the throw is offline to the plate. Lopez trying to induce a rundown is out. Well, perhaps not trying to induce a rundown. Lopez took off for second. Bourne never tried to score. And that's poor base running there by the Dolphins as they run themselves out of the 7th inning. They'll settle for 1 run, and they lead it 10-9. Last chance for the Panthers as they come to bat trailing by a single run when we return for the home 7th. And we are back for the home 7th inning with the Dolphins in front, 10-9. 3 outs away from their first victory of the season. And the Dolphins putting together a little 2-out rally to get a run home. Now, I have to admit, these Virginia Union mismatches between the helmet number and the uniform number have gotten me on more than one occasion. It is Denasia Sturdivant at the plate here. Her team trailing by a single run. Marina Guerenier in the circle for the Dolphins after coming on in relief of Kennedy Ruth during the last inning. Sturdivant waits the pitch. Now again trying to get everything sorted out with defensive changes. I lost the count as a nice running grab is made in fair territory along the right field line by Emma O'Neill. She had to go a long way to get to that one, and she makes the grab in the outfield corner. That's a big defensive play for the first out here in the home 7th. First pitch taken for a strike by Jalen Myrick. 1 gone. Dolphins lead it by 1 here in the 7th. 13 hits for the Dolphins in this game. 10 runs on 13 hits and 2 errors. For the Panthers, 9 runs on just 6 hits and 6 errors in the game. Pitch on the way from Gerenner. Popped up. Shallow right. Could be some trouble, and reaching back to make the catch is Motley. Another one that the Dolphins had to chase toward the foul line, this time in shallow right field. O'Neill's grab was made in medium right field, and with that, the Panthers are down to their final out. And that's chopped right back to the circle. And Rosenbaum is retired on one pitch to finish this one. The Dolphins survive after a sizable lead got away in the 6th inning. They gave up 6 runs, several of those coming home after they reached via walks. And the Dolphins hang on for their first victory of the 2026 season. They knock off Virginia Union University by a final score of 10-9. Somehow, we managed to get through that on Stats, one of the wildest scoring games that I've covered in 10 years of doing this. But outside of the one pinch runner, I think we are good to go. So with that, we'll step off headset, and when we come back, we will have the Dolphins' second game of the day. That one was scheduled for a 12 o'clock start. We'll see just how long we go in between games here in Raleigh. But the Dolphins will take on Clarion University coming up next, right back here at field number 4 at the Walnut Creek Softball Complex. Once again, it's a win for the Dolphins, their first of the 2026 season. They improved to 1-2 as they defeat the Panthers of Virginia Union University by a final score of 10-9. This has been Joe Foreman on the call. I'll be back with you shortly. Fortunately, I'm not scoring the next game, so I can focus on the call. When I come back on headset, it will be on a separate live stream, so keep that in mind. This stream will end, and the next stream will begin after lineup cards are exchanged by the head coaches. Be sure to join us right back here on CSI Sportsnet for that. Coming up in what I would presume is going to be approximately 15 or 20 minutes. Once again, separate stream as the Dolphins take on Clarion University. Coming up next.